Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 2 of the Divergent Comics podcast. I'm Gary, and I'm joined today by, I would say, one of my good friends from Threads. We met literally when Threads first started, and we just kind of connected ever since then. But Joe, who runs the Muscles and the Multiverse YouTube channel, and he also has his own podcast. I've been wanting to work with Joe for at least a year now. I just love the way he interacts online, and then the knowledge that he has on comics in general. It's just always been really fun. So, Joe, why don't you introduce yourself and tell the people a little bit about your comics reading journey and all of that.
Sure. Gary, thank you first off for having me.
No problem.
Yeah, I haven't been reading comics for very long. Probably since I tried to figure this out this morning. It's either like 2022 or 2023.
Okay.
So it hasn't been long. I've always been a big Marvel fan, just from the MCU basically is where everything started. But I didn't even get into that when that initially started. Most people know, if you've heard anything from me, the movie that got me into it was Black Panther. I saw it in theaters. I don't know like what made me want to go. It was just, one of those ones, but it was just like a huge thing. And after I came out of it, I was like, I need to know more.
Yeah.
Now I had seen like previous movies from Marvel, like Iron Man. I saw one of the Thors, maybe saw Captain America.
Yeah.
And none of them like did it for me. I was like, okay, this is cool, like whatever, but never interested me. And I don't know what it was about Black Panther, but it was just like transcended it, and I was just like, I need to know more. And so since then, I just slowly delved more and more into the MCU, and then I was like, I'm asking all these questions and I want to know more, but like there's kind of just like, you need to know too much stuff from the comics and people that were explaining it online. It was just too much, and I was like, there's got to be an easier way. And so I knew that I wasn't the only person asking that question. So I was like, I'm just going to start reading the comics. So then that's when, kind of like around the same time Threads started. So I was like, I'm going to ask people there's probably comic people on here. I'm like, what do you do? What do you read? How do you get into this? What's the best place to start? And then just kind of like budding from there. And then I just wanted to share kind of like my experience and what I was learning online. Because again, most of the stuff that I found online was just like too in-depth, kind of, I don't want to say gatekeepery, but just like they'd bring up other details, and I was like, I don't want to know more about this. I just want to know about the person I'm asking about, or like this situation. So then I just started my YouTube channel. It's kind of like changed whatnot, and then I just wanted to just start a podcast too, just to like have something different. But yeah, that's kind of me, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's funny. So Black Panther, I think, was kind of like the cultural moment for just comics in general. But I would go as far as to say, like, in regards to getting people interested in reading comics, Black Panther really changed the game, because up to that point, we had Captain America, we had Thor, we had Iron Man, and these are really good movies, but I would go as so far as to say that while interesting, they didn't necessarily force you to want to go learn more about the characters, especially that first Captain America movie. While I personally do enjoy it, I've talked to plenty of people and they're like, it's okay, it's just kind of boring. And it really is kind of boring. It just kind of slogs along for a while until you get towards the end. And then the first and second Thor movies just really didn't pull you into Thor like they should have. But the thing that I think that really made Black Panther different is, one, his introduction being first in Captain America Civil War. I think that was a huge way to kind of introduce the character. And then two, the lore and backstory and the world of Wakanda was just so captivating that it's like, you have to know more about this world, and you only had like 2 hours in the movie to learn. So I think that kind of helped with like getting a lot more people wanting to read Black Panther comics. And then in doing so, you get to find out like, oh, this character was first introduced in Fantastic Four. let me go read some Fantastic Four comics, and you read more of those, and the next thing you know, you're going down a rabbit hole, and you've read 250 comics in 1 year.
That's exactly it. It's kind of weird to like know that now how what do I want to say, like pivotal and like game changing Black Panther was, and like I had no idea. I was just like, I'm gonna go see this movie, and I went with my now wife, and just like again, I just remember coming out, and I just remember people like being pumped, like after coming out of it, they were just like loved it, and then I was just like, yeah, again, Ryan Coogler, he knows what he's doing, man.
He does. He really does. So before we jump into what we're going to talk about today, I wanted to ask you, what are, I guess, some of your favorite moments from Marvel movies that has really influenced your desire really to read comics? Before you answer, I'll say for me,
okay,
the first one was when in Iron Man 2, when Rhodey first got the suit. I wanted to know more about War Machine, because I was like, what is this? Like, I didn't know like there was a second Iron Man type guy. And so that made me want to read some Iron Man comics. And then my second was during Iron Man 3, actually. And it was about the Mandarin. Because growing up, I had played the Ultimate Alliance video games.
Yep.
And in Ultimate Alliance 1, the Mandarin is one of the main, or one of the big villains that you have to face off against. So it made me want to go back and do some research on him. So those are two of the moments for me that really made me want to go back and read some comics. Do you have any that stick out to you?
Man, nothing that like sticks out right now that I can think of. Again, like Black Panther is like maybe want to delve deeper into the MCU, but then I'm trying to think. It's just like going into, man, I want to almost say like one of the things, and it's probably not going to make my top 5 like what we're going to talk about later, but like Miss Marvel, just watching that show was just like completely different, right? And then you also learn that Aman Vellani is basically a comic nerd, and is like Miss Marvel in real life essentially. You're just like, oh, let me read this. And then I also really liked mainly probably because it was like set in the 90s, but like Captain Marvel, and I know the movie gets a ton of hate, but it's undeserved. But like the fact that, I don't know, I think it was just like set in the 90s. I loved everything about that, the way Nick Fury was.
Agreed,
and then just Brie Larson does a really good job being Captain Marvel.
I agree. A lot of people hate the movie and hate her, but I'll tell them all the time, she was comic accurate.
Yeah.
Like y'all always complain about comic accuracy, but she was comic accurate. That's the Captain Marvel that I know and love. It's funny because I had read I wouldn't say a lot of, but I had read a couple of Captain Marvel comics prior to that movie. So when the movie came out, I was pretty excited, and I took my younger sister to go see it, and we both came out and was like, there were some things that we didn't really care too much for, but overall we really enjoyed it. And it's definitely one of those that I go back and rewatch pretty frequently because it's really fun.
Nice.
So today what we're going to talk about, I was coming up with this idea of what I want to do to bring Joe onto the podcast, because I wanted to have him on as soon as I came up with this idea of turning my YouTube channel into a podcast. And Joe runs his own podcast, and he runs a podcast where he reads or goes through the reading of Marvel Comics. And it's been really good and really fun to just go on this journey with him on this podcast. So I was like, you know what? Joe's reading comics. Let's talk about Marvel Comics. So we're going to do our top 5 favorite Marvel comic runs today. Joe, I'm excited for this because this, as we talked about before we started recording, this was really challenging. So I'm excited to see what's on your list. Before we start, do you have any comments about your list that you want people to know about?
Just again, we talked about this. I've been reading since like 2022, 2023, so it hasn't been very long. We're talking like just coming up on 3 years, basically. And there is kind of like a theme-ish. There's one author who sticks out in a lot of stuff. It's mainly because it's so easy to hop in from what I was learning. Essentially, is like start with this one, or it's an easy place to start in, and it's highly regarded in terms of being a good run. So that's all
Yeah.
I'll say.
That's good to know. I can say the same. Like a lot of my list is, and it's funny because like as I was coming up with my list, I looked, I was like, dang, like 50% of my list is this one writer. So this is gonna be fun to see. But before we get started, do you have any like comic runs that you want to mention as your honorable mentions?
Man, I feel like currently probably an honorable mention that won't make the top 5, mainly because it's still going and I'm not current, but I read most of it. But the current Fantastic Four run by Ryan North has been really good. It started off a little slow for me because you're so used to doing like the first 4 issues have this overarching theme, but each issue ends, it's self-contained, and then it starts completely different somewhere else. And you're like, when I was reading comics and I got into them, you are already like brought into the world of like, you're not going to know this story, and you know it's going to carry over 3, 4, 5, 6 issues like a standard arc. But Ryan North kind of was like going back to the original, like what Stan Lee and Jack Kirby did, and I kind of hitting that point right now, where I'm reading that. But like everything is almost like self-contained in one story, and it starts at the beginning and ends at the end, and then you got a whole new story in the next issue.
Okay.
But then it kind of changes, and then I would have to say probably mainly because I'm not done. And it was just so confusing. There's so much happening at first, and like so many new things. But like New Avengers by Hickman, I was like, what is, like, I had to stop because I was like, I'm so confused as to what's happening.
Yeah.
And yeah, I stopped. I picked it back up again. I was like, okay, this makes a little bit more sense now, but I haven't finished it. So it's not on the top 5, mainly for those 2 reasons. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, that's good for now.
Okay, perfect. I do have a few on my list too. So, I'm just going to run through my honorable mentions list. It's going to be House of X and Powers of X. Both are by Jonathan Hickman. I read those in 2021. I was on a trip to LA for just a random vacation, and I had downloaded them from the Marvel Unlimited app, and I was reading them. I was like, wow, this is really good. Like this was my second foray into X-Men. My very first X-Men read was House of M, and I actually physically bought that book, which was a good read. And House of Powers of X is so good. I think because it just really changes the dynamic of what you know about the X-Men, since it's not about them just like facing persecution in the world. They're actually on their own island, and you're having to deal with all of that. That really just changed the game for me, and it made me like them a lot more than what I saw from the movies. Because we mentioned Iman Vellani, it made me remember her Ms. Marvel comic. I think she actually has a whole run where it's like 6 issues, I think is what it is.
Something along those lines, yeah. She's done a couple different like story arcs with the same other like co-writer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I plan on reading that, and for the same reason why you have the New Avengers and Avengers in your honorable mention, I haven't finished that run. I read the first book when it first came out. I went to the comic store and bought it. But I haven't finished it since. And it's not that it's bad or anything. I just haven't had time or money to get it. So I eventually plan on finishing that. But that first issue was so fun. It really gave me a lot of love for Ms. Marvel, because this is more in line with the MCU version of Ms. Marvel, where she has the light-based powers and she's a mutant rather than being an Inhuman. So I really like that change for her. Especially because no one really cares about the Inhumans. Like they're not that interesting. I read one of their stories and it just didn't interest me. And then my last honorable mention would be Daredevil, The Man Without Fear. That's the Frank Miller run. That one was fun. It kind of is dated. If you try to go back and read it, the artwork is okay, but the story itself is just dated. So That's the only reason why I put that in honorable mentions, because like it was fun to read, but that was one of the first comics I read when I got into truly reading Marvel comics. So yeah,
Nice.
those are our honorable mentions.
Awesome.
You ready to get into the list, Joe?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So what's your number 5 favorite Marvel comic run?
This is so hard. I'm going to have to start with probably the first comic run I read, which happens to be just because it has a special place in my heart, and kind of going off of like what I mentioned earlier, but like Miss Marvel by G. Willow Wilson. I had no idea what to expect reading this.
Yeah.
It was just a fun read. So it's like easy to start off with. I liked Miss Marvel, the show.
Yeah.
And pretty much everyone was like, just pick a character you like and pick a run. Just find a number 1, and there's like easier starting spots. So like that was as easy as it gets. It's just her introduction. And then I read it, and then I remember reading, and like in Marvel Unlimited, you're like going through, and like you don't really notice this at first, but then like the whole story, like not necessarily changed, but it finally ended. Like G. Willow Wilson wasn't the writer anymore, and I was like, what happened? Is this done? But I'm like, it's now number like, this isn't right, but like number 16. We just had 15, but like, why is she not writing the next one? I'm very confused. But like, it was just like, it's just a good intro. You don't need to know really anything about her or anything along those lines. It's kind of just like puts you in that world almost of like, again, you're in a comic fan, geeky kid's life who gets turned into a superhero, which is pretty much like what every probably almost comic lover or fan is reading wants to have happen, right?
Right. Yeah, that is one of those really fun stories. I think I read half of that run, and it was really fun too. So yeah, that's a good number 5. That's a good start.
Thank you.
For me, I actually have to mention one that you had in your honorable mentions list, and that's the New Avengers run.
Okay.
So I started reading that in 2022 is when I started reading it. And I started reading it because I started reading comics in 2014, but I didn't really have time or money to truly like get as many comics as I wanted to read. So what a lot of people that I knew would tell me about Comics Explained, the YouTube channel, and he goes through a lot of different Marvel comic runs. He's a really great resource, but every time he talks about the Avengers or New Avengers or anything like that, he always mentions this run. He always says, if you want to really like get a really good Jonathan Hickman book, get Avengers or New Avengers by Jonathan Hickman. And I read those stories and I was just floored at how good the storyline and writing was. They span like, I think over 40 issues each, which is insane.
Yeah.
But they're so good. I think the thing I like the most about the New Avengers is the new characters we get introduced to. Like we get introduced to Hotspot, and we get to meet Shang-Chi, and we get to see how they interact with characters like Black Panther and whatnot, which is really cool. And you know, seeing where we're at in the MCU now, where we're getting those type of characters introduced, and you get to kind of hopefully see the vision of them interacting with those characters, just really like makes reading that run for me a little bit more exciting. And so I had to put it on at number 5. It was tough because I really wanted to put it closer to 1, but when I get to some of the rest on my list, it's going to be like this. It was hard to overcome these. So
Nice.
What do you got at number 4, Joe?
Number 4, it's Young Avengers by Heinberg and Chung.
Actually, I haven't read that one.
The art by Chung is incredible. I just absolutely love it. And he gets into, they have 2 separate runs together, just Young Avengers in general. And then I think it's Avengers Children's Crusade, which is really just like the Young Avengers for the most part.
Okay.
But the Avengers are pulled in. they're both such good runs. It's just like, again, something that you could easily pick up. We're introduced to all these new characters for the most part, right? Like we get Wiccan, Speed, who else? Hulkling. I can't think of her name right now. Well, Kate Bishop, Ant-Man's daughter, Cassie Lang.
Yeah.
And then they form this team again, kind of like young teenagers trying to figure their way out into the world and like pull all their superpowers together, and they're like joining this team. For me, again, the story is great. It's the artwork by Chung is just absolutely incredible. And I want to say he does it a fair amount in the Young Avengers one, but in the Children's Crusade one, he just has like multiple splash pages of where it's like the Young Avengers and the Avengers are fighting because they're going up against Doom, and Scarlet Witch is involved after House of M, I want to say.
Yeah.
Because she has no memory of like what happened. And she's in the possession of Doom, for a lack of a better term. But like there's just these huge splash pages of just like everyone fighting. It almost reminds me of more recently like Sanford Green and his his Doom comic, where he had like all of the characters in like the Marvel universe going up against Galactus, or against Galactus. It's just it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I haven't read that. I need to read that, but I want to hit on something that you mentioned, because we're recording this before Marvel's Doomsday comes out. And for those of you who are still unaware or still have no idea of how powerful Dr. Doom is, he just said that Scarlet Witch is in the power under the thumb of Dr. Doom. So that just gives you an inkling of how powerful Dr. Doom really is. That's phenomenal.
I would really love to see, as like a side note, because I feel like they could easily write in, who knows what their plan is, but like easily write in Scarlet Witch into this like Doomsday thing via Children's Crusade, since they're supposedly bringing them in. All I know is like she gets found, like she doesn't know, she gets found at Mount Wundagore in the comics by Doom. And we know that's where she was last. Just saying.
Okay, Joe, you're making me formulate a theory. I don't want to. I've been trying my best not to formulate a theory around this movie, but you're making me formulate a theory.
Same.
That is awesome. I'm gonna have to move that up my list and try to read that, because that sounds great. Have you read Champions?
I haven't read any of the Champions. Probably just like here and there, little bits and pieces. But no, I haven't.
I read one issue after Ironheart dropped, and I was like, this is actually pretty good. So I'm gonna have to read that too, just kind of dive into a little more. You just made me think about that, because I feel like both of those stories are going to play some type of role in the MCU going forward, hopefully.
Yeah.
For me, number 4, this is a classic. This is one that Marvel is really known for, and that's Civil War, written by Mark Miller and illustrated by Steve McNiven. I think this is one of those that I listened to Comics Explain breakdown first. Then I listened to Comic Historian cover. Then I actually read the book on Marvel Unlimited. And then I was in a real heavy Audible kick at one point in 2021. And I started listening to the Audible version of it on my way to work every day. So I've kind of like gotten this story inside and out at this point, because of how much I've read it personally and had it read to me. And honestly, from beginning to end, this series is so captivating. Just seeing the entire Marvel universe just be split the way that they get split. And I think my favorite part is just how Spider-Man is so integral to it, because I'm not a Spider-Man fan. I'm not a fan of Peter Parker. But when he like finally takes up the task of exposing his own identity, I think that was like a really pivotal and key moment in the series. So I had to put that on there just because of how many times I've personally read it and how many times I've had it read to me. And plus, you know, we have a Marvel reading club that's going on now where they're covering the Civil War books, which is really awesome. That's being run on Threads right now, up until March, I believe, correct? Or is it until the end of
It's
February?
ending like this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he set it up like almost the whole event, I guess, and I've been trying to participate. I'm like 6 days behind now. There's just not enough time to read, but it's really good. And this is the first time I've like read a large event with multiple tie-ins, so it's kind of cool to see all the different stories and whatnot. But like, because I've only read like we've only read like 3 or 4 of like the Civil War story, but it is like so wild that like split down, and then that whole Peter Parker reveal. Yeah. I'm like, man, I hate Iron Man for that.
Yeah, I was not a fan of Iron Man in this. I was definitely Team Cap. Like, I understood Iron Man's position.
Sure.
Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm just like, there's better ways to go about it. Like, it wasn't it wasn't having a secret identity as a hero. That wasn't the reason for the children dying. Like, that wasn't the cause. But
yeah,
I get it. It was a very fun read, though.
Yeah, this is my first time reading it, so it's been good.
Awesome. What is your number 3?
All right, well, as we'll notice a theme here, Jonathan Hickman returns. And we have Ultimate Spider-Man, which is
that's a good one.
Currently running right now, ending this month or next month, one of those. I think I think having the whole new, I really enjoyed the Ultimate Universe, just like one, because again, being relatively new to comics, it's something that I could pick up and not have any background on anything else, and you could just start reading right away. And it started off with Ultimate Spider-Man, and just like, again, I haven't really read many Spider-Man comics, but I know enough about Spider-Man just from movies and stuff like that, that like these are the things that are normal.
Right.
And in this, we get all the things that we normally want for Peter Parker and Spider-Man, but he doesn't get it. Well, in the normal 616, he doesn't get it, but in this one, he gets it, right? He has a family, a wife and kids. He's relatively happy. It's just been a really good run within this universe, and kind of just like seeing all the different things. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but also having Marco Cicchetto on most of the art is also really good.
Yeah, I haven't read that one, but I've heard that that's basically that one and Ultimate Black Panther are the only 2 really good Ultimate runs right now.
I have another one on there that you didn't mention that I think is really good.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I would say X-Men is probably my least favorite. I actually dropped it at one point in terms of like pulls, just because I was like, what are we getting at here? I didn't hate it, but Ultimate Black Panther, I thought about putting it on here. If I had another honorable mention, I would mention that. It's just like Brian Hill does a good job of like pushing the story every single issue, but I'm like halfway through it. I didn't stop, but I just don't have the time to read it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm also I would say I'm not a big Spider-Man fan. I do like Miles Morales a little bit more than Peter Parker. But in general, just I don't like how they consistently like dangle that carrot of, Peter Parker can be happy, but not really happy, and it kind of gets old for me after a while. But that's cool. I'm gonna have to pick back up that Ultimate Spider-Man run. I think that's gonna be one I'm gonna have to move up the list to. For me, number 3, also a Jonathan Hickman book. But it's Secret Wars from 2015.
Okay.
So Secret Wars was the first major event that I actually read physically, and I fell in love with it. It's funny, I read Secret Wars before I read Avengers and New Avengers, which you're supposed to read New Avengers and New Avengers before you read Secret Wars. But it's so fun because I think the thing I love the most about this run, even like without reading the Battle War tie-ins, you get such a really compelling story. There's just like 4 moments in this series that just like really stick out to me. One, when Black Panther wields the Infinity Gauntlet, absolutely captivating. I love that. 2, when Doom, and we've all seen this scan, when Doom holds Thanos' skeleton, that gave me chills.
Yep.
3, when we see Thor, that's the android Thor come down.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, that was phenomenal. I just love that whole setup. And then 4, my favorite part, and this is actually what made me like the Fantastic Four just a little bit more, but when Doom and Reed are fighting, and Reed tells Doom, the only reason you're doing all this is because you want to be me, I got chills. I was like, wow. Oh my goodness. That was amazing. I loved it. I loved every minute of that.
Secret Wars is so good. I've done the same thing, obviously. I've read it, and I haven't finished Avengers New Avengers.
It's so good, man.
It is.
All right. So we're finally starting to wrap up, but you have your number 2.
All right, number 2. Within this Ultimate Universe, I have to say, The Ultimates by Dennis Camp. He is also now one of those writers, in my opinion, for me. Like, people are like, anything Hickman writes, like almost, you could say it, right? It's like almost anything Hickman writes we'll read because it's going to be good.
Right.
I feel like Dennis Camp is in that camp almost at this point now. I really like it because it's, again, a whole new universe. You don't really need any background. What I like about it most are his tie-ins and the way that he writes some of his stories, like the Doom. I think it was issue 4. There's a Doom intro. One, I'm biased because I'm just a big Doom fan, but like the way like Doom in this universe is Reed Richards. Not the maker Reed Richards, but the maker is there. But he's Reed Richards, but everything else falls apart essentially, and there's no Fantastic Four, and so he was tortured by the maker. And just like the whole, when I read it, I didn't realize it at first, but like there's just a side to side panel of like pages on the left side and pages on the right side, and it's just like each one is like telling a different portion or like a different viewpoint of his story. It's so good. But the other thing I really like is kind of like I don't know what I want to call it, like the relationship to society as it is right now. And like what's happening. Like I feel like he wasn't obviously planning this, but he's like, I'm going to obviously write about this now, and it's almost like literally a playbook for anyone who is not a deranged lunatic, I think, within the country, to just basically follow this, and you're like, oh, this is what we should be doing.
Now, that is also one I haven't read. Is that a new run or is that an older run?
It's within this Ultimate Universe. It started maybe a few months after Ultimate Spider-Man came out. Like when Ultimate Spider-Man came out in like January or something like that of 2024. This probably came out in like April because this is wrapping up in April or something like that. So it's within that Ultimate Universe and it ties everything in, but it's them forming the Ultimates, right? So it's like an Iron Man, but not Tony Stark's son, and we have Doom and a bunch of other people. But yeah. Nice.
That sounds fun. That sounds like a good read.
It is good.
For me, number 2, again, this is one of those where I had heard people talking about it. If any of you listen to or have watched Comics Explained in any manner, you know he's talked about this character multiple times, but Blue Marvel, and his very first introduction being Legend of the Blue Marvel, that comic run, it's only 6 issues, but it is so good. You get to start from when he first was part of the military, and you kind of just go through his whole backstory up until the point he gets his powers. He tries to be a hero. He gets exposed for being black. This is in like the 70s when racism was really rampant and they were completely unashamed about it. And so like part of his helmet breaks and it's exposed that he's black. So the U.S., the president of the U.S. comes and is like, hey, like, can you like not be a hero?
Gosh.
And he just accepts it. He's like, okay, fine. But it's a lot more nuanced than that.
Sure.
Because of how they go about it, and they're so diabolical in how they do it. But at the end of the series, the only reason why we're going through this whole backstory of him is because a new threat has risen up, and the Avengers can't tackle him because he's using negative energy, and only Blue Marvel can handle it. So it's a really good run. Like I said, it's only 6 issues, and I think this is, if there's any character I will beat the table to see in the MCU, it is going to be Blue Marvel. I wanted to see Yahya Abdul-Mateen play him because I think he would have been perfect. He's playing Wonder Man. I'm not too upset about it. It's okay, but I really hope once we get after Doomsday and Secret Wars, we get a Blue Marvel movie or a TV series or something. I'll take a limited special, but I just need something Blue Marvel soon.
I've never read anything regarding Blue Marvel. I've never read that one. I've only seen him one time, I feel like, in anything I've ever read, which was like a Doom run by Christopher Cantwell, which was like a 10-issue run, and he showed up. And at first, I didn't even know that it was Blue Marvel. At first, I just saw this black superhero come in, and I was like, who is this?
Yeah.
I without being like not knowing, I was like, why does T'Challa have gray in his hair? Like, why does he look like Reed Richards-ish? I'm like, oh, it's because it's Blue Marvel. And you still don't really get to know much about him in that. So, yeah, that is one that I'll have to check out because that sounds pretty interesting.
It is really fun. And I will say it's kind of malpractice that they haven't done more with him. Because outside of that run, he's only been in the Ultimates with Photon, and I forgot who else is in there, but it was a run back in like the mid 2010s that had like 12 issues or so. And outside of that, he's been in basically nothing.
That's crazy.
Like if you go to the Marvel Unlimited app, it's just those 2 runs and like maybe that one instance of him showing up in an Avengers book or something like that. But
that's crazy.
Nothing. But yeah, he's on par power-wise with like Sentry and Hulk and all that. Like he's obscenely wildly powerful. So
I wonder if that's why, because like most people talk about like Franklin Richards, and he's just like overpowered, and they're like, we can't use him. True. Like, what are you gonna do?
That is true. Yeah. So Joe.
All right.
Your number one. Yeah.
Once again, a theme by Jonathan Hickman. Fantastic Four, run by Jonathan Hickman.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I think I gravitate towards Fantastic Four just because I've just always been, again, I'm a big Doom fan, and given that that's his like their number one nemesis for the most part, I'm like, well, I guess I need to read Fantastic Four because there's not just like, I mean, there are standalone Doom stuff, but I'm like, he's always tied to Fantastic Four for the most part. Again, just like one of those ones that like people were like, if you want to read something that's more modern and you don't need that much background to get into it, Fantastic Four by Hickman is there. I'm definitely a bigger fan too of like broader scope of things in terms of like cosmic beings and just like this large storytelling. Sometimes Jonathan Hickman can really drag stuff along for worse, honestly. But grossly speaking, his stories within that Fantastic Four run are really, I think, exciting and fun. You get all kinds of cosmic level threats. You get to see how terrible Reed is. Yes. In terms of like the Council of Reeds and just I can't tell anyone. I'm not going to ask for help because I'm the only person who can figure this out. And like, oh yeah, we're just going to make a whole bunch of me and we're all going to try and figure it out. And just like the fact that you also get to see Doom come in and quote unquote like be the hero, like the famous line of all hope lies in Doom. It's just like, I love and just line. Like that back and forth of like the time travel with like future Franklin and Valeria, and there's just so much. It's so good. Yeah, it is. So that's one of the only reasons why I was really excited for the new Fantastic Four movie,
because I was hoping that we got to see Franklin and Valeria, because
Right.
I absolutely love their interactions in the comics.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But I gotta say, like, just the whole Council of Reeds, that just to me always proves that Reed's biggest downfall is going to be his own hubris.
Yep.
Always going to be his own downfall. So, yeah, I love that run. That's a really good run. So, breaking against our common theme, my favorite run that I've read, and it's funny because I didn't read it until 2024, but it's by Chris Claremont, actually. It's X-Men God Loves, Man Kills. And I have been, since I've read this run, I have been pounding the table that this should be the very first X-Men story we get when they are introducing the MCU. Like, this story should be what we get, because have you read the story?
I have not read it. I've only heard as people who are like, if you're going to read X-Men, this is a story to read.
It is. This is the story to read. The main villain is William Stryker.
Okay.
But they don't fight they don't necessarily fight William Stryker. They are basically going up against the cult of William Stryker. And it's very relevant to what's going on today with, the rise of Christian nationalism and all of that. Those type of things. You get to see that in full display. And this was a story written back in the 80s.
Yeah.
But it's still so relevant. The art is still really good. It's illustrated by Brent Eric Anderson. And it looks so good. And I don't want to spoil it, but man, the themes, the motifs, the overtones, the undertones, all of it just really hit from beginning to end. And it, to me, paints like a lot of the characters of the X-Men in different light. Like, Jubilee gets a lot more agency and a lot more shine in this story compared to some of the other characters. So it's a must read for me. Like,
nice. Okay.
Anytime anyone asks me about what's your favorite X-Men story, it's always God Loves, Man Kills.
Nice. I haven't delved. So one of my first things that I was starting to read, like, to mention one of your honorable mentions, was X-Men. Like, when I first started, people were like, X-Men 97 was coming out. There was going to be a new, restart of the X-Men in comics with Krakoa ending. And I was like, oh, I'm going to read Krakoa. And then I didn't know how huge it was. But obviously started out with House of X and Powers. And just, I still remember... I mainly remember this because my daughter was a terrible sleeper, so I was reading on my phone, always holding her as she was sleeping, and just I remember reading. I want to say it was issue 4 or 5 when Wolverine and Nightcrawler are sitting there about to be transported into a major fight, and I still am getting the chills in my body right now, how. That that point in that story, I was like, oh my gosh, this is wild.
That's one of the things I love about the Krakoa era is just the concept of being able to transport any of the X-Men, or really any of the mutants in general, because they also had Magneto, which is my favorite Marvel character. They had him on the team, and that era I feel was just so undervalued, because it really gave us more depth into the mutants rather than just, we're going to learn about the X-Men. It's okay, we can learn more about who mutant kind is. And that's one of the things that God Loves, Man Kills does as well. So if you liked any aspect of the Krakoa era, I think you'll really like that run.
Nice.
Joe, I appreciate you for coming on here. This has been fun. Can you spend a few minutes and talk about your podcast, where you at right now and all of that with it?
Yeah. So my podcast, Reading the Multiverse, is literally me reading comics, but I'm not reading the story to you. I've read them and I'm giving you a recap. So if you're someone who's read these stories, this could be a nice revisit to it. If you're someone who, like me, doesn't have a ton of time to read, there's so many things I want to read. I don't have enough time to read it all. So if you've ever wanted to read right now, I'm doing the Fantastic Four by Lee and Kirby. So we're going to go through 102 issues, and we are on what did I just record? 39 through 42. So we're almost halfway.
Yeah.
And the bright spot of this too, I think, is like you're going to get my reaction to what I'm reading, as I've never really read most of this before. I'm just picking up now where I haven't read. I read all the way up to this point, and now we're getting into stuff that I've never read before. So it's kind of going along. It's just, you kind of get to see, at least in this one, where Marvel started, essentially.
Yeah.
You can kind of see how messy it was at the beginning. Of you're just like, well, they don't know what they're doing for the most part. They're just making stuff up. But like I said, in the latest episode, you can kind of see that they've transitioned to creating cliffhangers at the end of issues. They've kind of done it before with maybe one or two, but it's just like everything always wraps up at the end. And now we're getting into the point of where I'm like, oh, I want to read the next issue because I kind of want to know what happens.
Yes.
So from this point forward, I haven't read anything else, which is a slight lie. Like I've read a few issues here and there. Like I've read the Galactus trilogy and some other random issues. But this, and then once we're done this, I have plans of other like runs that I think are worth reading, but hopefully going to have some input from people who listen, and we can go through there. So yeah.
Podcast is great. I enjoy it. I'm glad that you actually started with that first Fantastic Four run, because I actually have never read it. So as you've been going through it, I've been like, oh, that's pretty interesting. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just trying to refine as I'm going through, because I'm not trying to give beat by beat of like what's happening, just trying to like talk over the major talking points of the issue, but like bring up stuff that's relevant, obviously. And then again, you get my like weird thoughts as I'm reading it, and that I wrote down, and like what happened here, or like this. So yeah, then I also throw in some fun ads. They're fake. But they're fake ads, but I thought it was fun to add in.
That is always fun for sure. I think one of the things, and we'll wrap up here, but I think one of the things that is so endearing about going through and getting the first run of the Fantastic Four is you get to kind of see how that has been consistent for the Fantastic Four throughout the time that anyone has written for them. Because it seems like almost every Fantastic Four run, you have like a bunch of stories that are just like one-off stories that have nothing to do with anything. Like there was a Chris Claremont Fantastic Four run where Ben is just out on New York, just strolling the street, and he's helping people, and I think he ends up fighting like some random monsters or something that just pop up or whatever. It's like things like that, or when the Gorilla Crew come and Reed has to face them in an issue. It's like things like that are just so random and like unforeseen, but it's just like such a fun thing to kind of get an idea of who these characters are. Kind of stems, not really kind of, but it really just stems from that very first Fantastic Four run, and you just kind of get to see how that stays consistent.
Yeah, and it's from what I've seen other people talk about, they talk about like the middle of their run is probably the best part of it. So we're just hitting that right now. So
nice.
If you want to jump in, time to jump in. But yeah, it's been good. It takes so long to read these old issues. It's so annoying. So annoying. It literally takes me like 20 plus minutes to like read one, and like as I've been doing like the Civil War read-throughs for some of them, I'm like, I just finished 2 issues in like the same amount of time it takes me to read one. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's tough. Everyone thank Joe for the work he's doing for taking. But no, Joe, tell the people where they can find you, follow you, and get more of your work. Yeah,
so we have the podcast, Reading the Multiverse. It's anywhere you listen to podcasts. I'm on Threads and YouTube and Instagram at Muscles and the Multiverse. So you can find me there. And yeah, basically mainly on Threads for the most part, like for daily thoughts and updates. And then my other thing is mainly YouTube for the most part. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Everyone, links to Joe's podcast, to Joe's YouTube, and Threads and Instagram will be in the description below, so go follow him and check him out. Joe, again, thanks for jumping on here. This has been fun. Until next time, this has been the Divergent Comics podcast. Everyone, go read some comics.